Hand me over the mridanga. Don't switch off the fan. जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय जय गोपी जनवल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारे जय गिरिवरधारे जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारे जय गिरिवरधारे यशोदनंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदनंदन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जनरंजन ब्रज जनरंजन यामुना तीरा वनचारी यामुना तीरा वनचारी यामुना तीरा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज ब्रज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा यशोदनन्दन ब्रजजनरञ्जन यामुना तीरवनचारि हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय गांधर्विका गिरिधारी गौर हरे जय गौर निताय जय गौर निताय प्रभुपाद जय श्रील प्रभुपाद युग धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्या उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody to this wonderful Sunday feast gathering. I'm very happy to be with all of you again. So I will just fix up the display first. So we are reading from Canto 1, the title of which is Creation. We are starting chapter 2. In every Sunday feast, presently what we are trying to do is we are going section wise, 4 or 5 shlokas in one section. In every Sunday feast, we try our best to cover a section. But sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. So the first 5 shlokas of the second chapter, which is called as Divinity and Divine. Can we have display, please? Divinity and Divine Service is the second chapter. In the first chapter, we see the prelude of Bhagavatam, Divinity and Divine Service, that's the chapter. In the first chapter, basically, we see the prelude to Srimad Bhagavatam, where the first 3 verses being the most important verses, which set the mood of Srimad Bhagavatam. The first verse talks about the Sambandha, the second verse talks about the Avidheya, and the third verse invites us all to relish Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the Prayojan of Srimad Bhagavatam. And after that, in the first chapter, 6 very important questions. If you want to summarize the chapter, you can say 6 questions by the sages. So they ask very important 6 questions to Suta Goswami, and before that Suta Goswami is properly glorified, how he is the most qualified person to speak on the subject matter of spiritual life, why he is most qualified. And then Shaunakadi Rishis, they also congratulate him. Now after these first 6 questions have been asked, basically speaking, the rest of entire first canto is an attempt to answer these 6 questions. And after these 6 questions, from the third canto onwards, different series of discussions will start. So we are reading from chapter 2, text number 1. व्यास उवाच इति संप्रश्न संहृष्टो विप्राणां रोमहर्षणीः प्रतिपूज्या वचस्तेषां प्रवक्तुम् उपचक्रमे. So, translation, Ugrashrava. So, Suta Goswami's another name is Ugrashrava. He is the son of Romaharshan. Sometimes he is also called as Romaharshan Suta. Being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and attempted to reply. Purport. The sages of Naimisharanya asked the 6 Goswamis 6 questions, and so he is answering them one by one. Now the basic shloka which we will cover in today's session is this, so we will recite this together. Suta Uvacha. Can you see? Should I maximize? Is it visible now? Suta Uvacha. I will just figure out the meter of this. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apetakrityam Dvaipayano virahakatar ajuhava putreti tan मयतया तरवो अभिनेदुस् तं सर्वभूत हृदयं मुनिम् अनन्तोऽस्मि आनतोऽस्मि यं प्रव्रजन्तम् अनुपेतम् अपेतकृत्यम् द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवो अभिनेदुस् तं सर्वभूत हृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि यं प्रव्रजन्तम् अनुपेतमपेतकृत्यम् द्वैपायनो विरहकातराजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवो अभिनेदुस् तं सर्वभूत हृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि Someone would like to recite? Just try. Somebody? Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam द्वैपायनो विरहकातराजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवो अभिनेदुस् तं सर्वभूत हृदयम् आनतोऽस्मि. Yes, somebody from Mataji's side. यं प्रवजन्तम् अनुपेतम् अपेतकृत्यम् द्वैपायनो विरहकातुराजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवो नेदुस् तं सर्वभूत हृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि. Okay, once I will also try to recite, but I'll try another meter. Suta uvacha yam pravrajantam anupetam apetakrtyam dvaipayano virahakaturajuhava पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवो अभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूत हृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि. Let's go to the word meaning. Sutah, Sutta Goswami, Uvacha, said, Yam, whom, Pravrajantam, while going far away from the renounced order of life. Anupetam, without being reformed by the sacred thread. Apeta, not undergoing ceremonies. Krityam, prescribed duties. Dvaipayanaha, Vyasadeva, Viraha, separation. Kataraha, being afraid of. Ajuhava, exclaimed. Putra iti, O my son. Tat mayataya, being absorbed in that way. Taravaha, all the trees. Abhineduhu, responded. Tam, unto him. Sarva, all. Bhuta, living entities, Hridayam, heart, Munim, sage, Anantaha Asmi, offer obeisances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Sutta Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the great sage Shukadeva Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, sannyasa, living home without undergoing the reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by the higher castes, his father Vyasdev, fearing separation from him, cried out, 'O my son!' Indeed, only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the bereaved father." Purport: the institution of Varna and Ashrama prescribes many regulative duties to be observed by its followers. Such duties enjoin that a candidate willing to study the Vedas must approach a bona fide spiritual master and request acceptance as his disciple. The sacred thread is a sign of those who are competent to study the Vedas from the Acharya or the bona fide spiritual master. Sri Shukadeva Goswami did not undergo such purificatory ceremonies because he was a liberated soul from his very birth. Generally, a man is born as an ordinary being, and by the purificatory process he is born for the second time. When he sees new light and seeks direction for spiritual progress, he approaches a spiritual master for instruction in the Vedas. The spiritual master accepts only sincere inquirer as his disciple and gives him the sacred thread. In this way, the man becomes twice born or a Dvija. First he becomes a Brahmana, then he becomes a Dvija. After qualifying as a Dvija, one may study the Vedas, and becoming well versed in the Vedas, one becomes a Vipra. A Vipra or a qualified Brahmana thus realizes the absolute and makes further progress in spiritual life until he reaches the Vaishnava stage. The Vaishnava stage is a postgraduate status of a Brahmana. A progressive Brahmana must necessarily become a Vaishnava, for a Vaishnava is a self-realized, learned Brahmana. Srila Shukadeva Goswami was a Vaishnava from the beginning, therefore there was no need for him to undergo all the processes of Varnashram institution. Ultimately, the aim of Varnashram Dharma is to turn a crude man into a pure devotee of the Lord or a Vaishnava. Anyone, therefore, who becomes a Vaishnava accepted by the first class Vaishnava or Uttamadhikari Vaishnava is already considered a Brahmana regardless of his birth or past deeds. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted this principle and recognized Srila Haridas Thakur as the Acharya of the holy name, although Thakur Haridas appeared in a Mohammedan family. In conclusion, Srila Shukadeva Goswami was born a Vaishnava, and therefore Brahmanism was included in him. He did not have to undergo any ceremonies. Any low-born person, be he a Kirat, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, Khasa, or even lower, can be delivered to the highest transcendental position by the mercy of Vaishnavas. Srila Shukadeva Goswami was the spiritual master of Sri Suta Goswami, who therefore offers his respectful obeisances unto Srila Shukadeva Goswami before he begins his answers to the questions of the sages at Naimisharanya. So, we'll do translation with repetition once. Srila Suta Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage, Shukdev Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by the higher castes, his father Vyasadeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, 'O my son, indeed only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the bereaved father.' Om Ajnana-Timirandhasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapad Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साधवैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवम श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम। हरि ओम तत्सत्। Hare Krishna. So this is a very, very wonderful section of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm very, very happy to be reading in the association of devotees here. Just trying to set up my laptop. I don't know what has happened. It is not responding. Okay. So many things to learn from these two verses, which will actually help us in our spiritual life on a day-to-day basis. The first verse, this section, the first 5 verses of the second chapter of the second canto of Bhagavatam, the theme can be the divine significance of offering obeisances. My sincere recommendation to all of you, please regularly read the books of Srila Prabhupada. There is so much to learn and abide by in these books that without reading these books, spiritual life will become very dry. One will not feel like chanting. There will be nothing worth giving your life for in your spiritual life. In man's search for happiness, the most important thing is to have a higher goal in life. Those who have a very high goal, a transcendental kind of goal, they can survive all circumstances. Suppose the goal of your life is to something very silly, like you'll be able to get the vegetables at a cheap price from the market today. Suppose this is the goal of your life. And in the process of doing so, while you're going to the market, your vehicle breaks down. You'll be fully disturbed. Similarly, if something else happens, petty things happen in your life, you'll be disturbed. But when the goal is very high, very transcendental, then no matter what happens, if you have this understanding that this material world is a temporary place, and I as a spirit soul have got nothing to do with this material world, and the aim of my life is to always try to serve Guru and Krishna irrespective of circumstances, unfailing in all circumstances. Doesn't matter whether I'm rich or not, doesn't matter whether I'm beautiful or not, doesn't matter whether I'm famous or not, doesn't matter whether I'm winning the election or not, doesn't matter whether I'm very highly educated or not, doesn't matter whether I'm super duper intelligent or not. But in all circumstances, I have to serve my Guru and I have to serve Krishna. If this consciousness I have, then even in the most difficult circumstances, I will be persevering and I'll be very hopeful even against hope in the practice of my Krishna consciousness, and I will be very carefully and patiently waiting for the mercy of the Lord. So when in adverse circumstances, when I'm still expecting the mercy of the Lord, while rendering my devotional service, I become qualified to go back home, back to Godhead. And that is only possible when you have a very high goal. And this high goal gets set in our life only when we read the books of Srila Prabhupada. So it's very, very important. And this reading will take effect. One will be able to apply it in their life only when they chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So past 1 week was a big adventure for me. I was in Sri Vrindavan Dham, trying to do various services and spiritual activities. But due to some reason, as I said, the mind feels disturbed also. Something had happened because of which I was not able to focus in my life, especially when you come back from a dham, you feel some separation also. So, and apart from that, some incidents happen here and there, and you do Govardhan Parikrama, and then your muscles pain, and you get dehydrated in the hot sun, and after that something goes wrong with the prasadam, and then something goes wrong in the train, something goes wrong here, goes wrong there. Part and parcel of life. So there is enough ingredient to disturb your mind. And I was really not being able to focus. All the time, some chattering was going on in my mind. I was feeling helpless. So much helpless that I was not able to sleep also. But today morning, when I sat to chant, I very helplessly prayed to the Lord that I have nothing else in my life other than this chanting. I tried everything. I tried fixing things from my side. My mind didn't become happy and stable. I tried, whatever materially was possible to do, I tried. But nothing helped me, and my mind was not peaceful and calmed. So then I thought that, okay, I'm surrendering to you. The only thing which I can do is to chant and hear. And if this cannot solve the problem, then I don't know what to do. So I'm completely dependent on you, thinking like this. I cannot solve my problems. I cannot get away with the chatter of my mind. I cannot get away from those impressions which I am having right now, which is disturbing me so much. So therefore, let me take shelter of this sound vibration. I made this prayer. With hope in my heart, I started chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. In my mind, I had only one thing, that I have to sincerely chant and hear what I chant. There is a letter of Srila Prabhupada where a disciple asks so many questions. That disciple has been sent to a foreign location, maybe it's Japan or some place, and he is having so many problems, and he has listed down this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem, this problem, that. And Srila Prabhupada writes a quite short letter in reply. He says, just try to sincerely hear yourself chant Hare Krishna. So I was remembering that letter, and then I was just chanting, and it's a miracle. Simply after chanting 2 rounds, I was feeling so happy. I was feeling so much transcendental. I was feeling so happy. I was feeling so much able to focus and have a focus on my relationships, focus on my services, focus on my other aspects of life. Sometimes when there are some anarthas in the heart, it's very difficult to overcome on your own. It is not possible practically. The stage of anartha nivritti can be crossed over only by the help of Guru and Krishna. But what form of Krishna will help you cross that? The Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because Krishna is non-different from his holy name. Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukta Abhinatvam Nama Namina. Spiritual realization means to realize this, that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is non-different from Krishna. The more deeper you go in this realization, the more advanced devotee you are. Your advancement in Krishna consciousness is not measured by the length of your shikha. Sometimes when I fight with people, I open my shikha and see how senior I am. But the length of your shikha doesn't measure your advancement, or the color of your dress. The advancement is measured how much you are able to be attracted to that sound vibration. Suppose we are sitting here in this hall and some nice old Hindi movie song or Kannada movie song starts playing. Immediately we'll be attracted. Similarly, that kind of attraction we should have. And no matter what we are doing, as soon as we hear Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare, our mind should run away in that direction. This consciousness is called Krishna consciousness, and this is going to save us at the time of death. So reading of Srila Prabhupada's books gives us a higher goal in life, and chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra gives us that spiritual strength to apply whatever is told in those books and then walk on that path towards that high goal. So this is complementary, chanting and reading. Chanting, when you chant, that is called kirtanam. Reading, when you read, it is called hearing or shravanam. So shravanam and kirtanam is very, very important. Both have to go hand in hand. Any one is ignored, spiritual life becomes dry. So in this verse number 1 of the 2nd chapter of 1st canto, you see another aspect of spiritual life is mentioned. Suta Goswami, son of Roma Harshana, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted them to reply. So in spiritual life, one thing is very important, that is spiritual enquiry. But how should this spiritual enquiry be done? This is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, sloka number 34. Please repeat with me. Tad vidhi pranipatena pari prashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 shloka number 34. How to get knowledge, or the process of getting knowledge, is mentioned in this. Tad vidhi pranipatena. Especially in spiritual life. See, when you go to college, you have some doubts, you collect it, and then you go to the professor and you ask one after one after one after one after one. And if you have too many questions, the professor asks you to leave the class also. But in spiritual life, that doesn't work like that. Spiritual life means if you want to ask questions to someone, please listen very, very carefully. This is the main point where many people miss. If you want to ask questions to someone and get answers from that person and benefit or get spiritual advantage in your life, first you should serve that person. Spiritual life is not a fan club. My dear Prabhuji or Mataji, I like you very much. I have these questions for you. Spiritual life doesn't work like that. First, you have to serve. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. First you have to serve and then try to render humble, submissive or hear from them submissively first. Serve them if possible. If you feel inspired, surrender to them. And then when you ask questions, and then when they will answer those questions, then you will benefit. So therefore, a wise man does not ask so many questions to so many people also. A wise man knows that, okay, here is the point of my surrender. Here is the person to whom I have surrendered. Here is the person whom I am actually doing some service to. Here is the person whom I am receiving humble oral reception. I am hearing from him. So therefore, he or she is the person whom I should ask questions. And when they will answer, it will penetrate the core of my heart and I will be able to apply it in my life. This is the meaning of spiritual life. Tadvidhi pranipatena. So if you carefully see the first chapter of Bhagavatam, these humble sages, they are trying to render some service to Suta Goswami. They are inviting him, they are rendering some service to him. They are surrendering to him by offering so many praises, and they are telling you how he is so qualified and how they want to hear from him. They have left they were trying to do a 1,000-year-old sacrifice. But then as soon as Suta Goswami walks in, they give up everything and then they just try to listen from him attentively. They show the importance of a spiritual master in life. In this way, they are trying to serve him, they are trying to surrender to him. And when Suta Goswami, this verse says, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas. The Suta Goswami was very satisfied. So this is a very important aspect to progress in spiritual life. Somehow, these sages at Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunakadi rishis, they satisfied Suta Goswami. Somehow. Suta Goswami, as a person, was a very simple person by heart. He didn't need much to get satisfied. And these Shaunakadi rishis, they were very nice. They somehow satisfied Suta Goswami. And when he became satisfied, it was 100% sure that whatever answers which will come out from the lotus mount of Suta Goswami will solve all the problems of the sages at Naimisharanya. So first lesson from today is that the art of asking and getting questions answered is first do service, then try to align yourself with that personality, then ask questions. The first lesson. And second lesson is, before asking service, before asking questions, try to please that person. Try to make him or her satisfied. And third, make sure your questions are serious questions in spiritual life. Here Prabhupada is writing, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted them to reply. So questions in spiritual life should not be like, what do you think, Prabhu? Which government will come today in Karnataka? Or, will it rain today? Or, what can I do, Prabhu, so that I can get a better job? These kind of questions should not be asked. Srila Prabhupada often criticizes those people who try to approach a saintly person with a desire for some material benefit. Material benefit can be anything. Sometimes material benefit is masked by emotional sentiments. Somebody's son is not well, somebody's daughter is not well. So being fully attached, just like in the second verse we see Vyasdev is saying, "Oh my son." But the attachment of Vyasdev cannot be compared to the attachment of a normal man. We'll discuss that. So, my son is not well, my daughter is not well, my uncle is not well, my auntie is not well, my cat is not well, my dog is not well. I'm approaching to you and I'm surrendering my life to you. My company is not doing well, my business is not doing well. For these reasons, we should not approach a spiritual master. Questions which are related to the samsara or the cycle of birth, disease, old age and death should be asked to the spiritual master. Questions which are helping one to progress in spiritual life should be put in front of the spiritual master. Questions which have become a deadlock beyond which the disciple is not able to foresee what to do should be put in front of the spiritual master. Questions for understanding the mind of the spiritual master should be put in front of the spiritual master. Questions related to the well-being of the devotees and spiritual masters should be put in front of the spiritual master. Questions related to the service of Shri Gandharvika, Girdhari and Sriman Mahaprabhu should be put in front of the spiritual master. Like this. And a serious disciple will ask such questions and the spiritual master will feel very happy. I was hearing a lecture of my spiritual master. Actually, it was not a lecture, it was like a discussion amongst the disciples about the qualities of the spiritual master. So it was mentioned that once my spiritual master in Mayapur took a big board and he made a chart that please come to the spiritual master for, and then he wrote all different reasons for job inquiries, for conflict resolution, for marital issues, for children upbringing, and this, that. He wrote some 20 topics, and in the end he wrote, you can also come for spiritual clarifications. So that was a sarcasm, that was a joke which was intended. Because everybody goes to Guru for such kind of reasons only. Guru Maharaj, I have purchased a new house. Which date I should do this Griha Pravesh? Please tell me. Guru Maharaj, I have got this new job, whether I should take this job or that job. This problem, that problem. See, simply, so they are not able to satisfy the spiritual master. But the Suta Goswami has been satisfied by the sages of Naimisaranya and they have asked 6 questions. And those 6 questions are very perfect, very relevant. And in the second verse, Suta Goswami starts to speak. Now before anybody, what is the second verse says, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage, Shukdev Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. And if you will see, the whole of first canto and second canto, Suta Goswami is trying to repeat what he has heard from his authorities. Fourth lesson for today. Spiritual discussion means simply repeating what we have heard from the higher authorities. If we cannot repeat, then we are not bona fide and whatever we say has no value. Now, who was Suta Goswami? If you see the glorification of Suta Goswami, he is an extremely exalted personality. And if you see Shukdev Goswami, he is like a great sage who can enter the hearts of everybody. You know what does it mean to enter the hearts of everybody? He is Shah Rukh Khan or something. What does it mean that Shukdev Goswami who can enter the hearts of all? What does it mean? He dances very nicely, he has a nice gel hair or something. Nice shoes. Very good. Shukdev Goswami is expert at presenting the subject matter which he learned from his father. He is expert at presenting Srimad Bhagavatam in such a way that it becomes appealing to all class of men. This is called realization. Realization in spiritual life means this only. That one is able to present what they have heard from their spiritual master based on time, place and circumstances, without screwing out some other meaning which was not originally intended by the acharyas. At the same time being able to present in a understandable, relatable, digestible manner to the audience. This is called as realization. The more realized you are, the more good you become at doing this. And then it becomes very appealing. Look at Srila Prabhupada. When he presented Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, even the hippies started following. How many of you have actually met a hippie? You've met a hippie? Where did you meet? Huh? Italy.
What is the meaning of hippie?
Hippie means a person who is originally from a very, very well-to-do family, but he decides to become poor, naked, beggar by personal choice. Hippie means that person will have a fight. Hippie means rugged individualism and a lot of attitude and a lot of rebel kind of nature, and then run away from the house, have all kinds of bad habits, do nothing, get into bad association, live like animals, cats and dogs. That is called hippie. So when Prabhupada would speak, even the hippies would follow. See, I hope none of you are hippies sitting here. So I have some expectations from all of you. In one lecture I was hearing, Srila Prabhupada, it is there in the lecture also recorded, Srila Prabhupada is giving a class and a drunk man comes into the class. Drunk man, like fully drunk. And as he comes and opens and bangs the door open, everybody is thinking, what will happen now? Will he come and shout or do something? And then he enters the class, says hello to Prabhupada, and he says that I have brought some toilet paper. And then he goes inside the toilet, puts the toilet paper, and then goes out. And Srila Prabhupada smiles and says, just see, he's trying to do some service. And because he did that service, Srila Prabhupada became pleased with him. So that person became a devotee later on. So this is spiritual life. The more realized you are, now this realization is also a mercy of Guru and Krishna. Now this realization aspects very much becomes evident when you go to Dham. Try going to some Dham like Vrindavan, Mayapur, etc., Jagannath Puri alone. And try going in the association of devotees, your realizations will be different. When the devotees will help you to see the Dham through your ears, you will realize more. You will have more realizations. And then you'll be able to sit in one place wherever you are in the whole universe, either as an ant or as a Brahma. You'll be able to feel some attachment. You will be able to understand, okay, what does this mean? What does Vrindavan mean? What does Gokul mean? What does Raval mean? What does Mahandirvan mean? This, that. And it's not just a place where the flowers are pink in color, or where the sand is very soft, or where the water is very sweet, or where the rasgulla is very nice, the lassi is very good. Not like that. You will have some transcendental realizations because some devotee revealed it to you. So when Srila Prabhupada would speak, he would be able to influence even the hippies, and he said that this is all the mercy of his spiritual master because he heard very well. So the qualification of a person who wants to do something for Prabhupada should be twofold. Number one, Shrotriyam, and number two, Brahmanishtham. Maybe this is the 6th lesson for today. Shrotriyam means one should have heard very attentively from their own spiritual masters. And Brahmanishtham, that means they should have unflinching faith in Guru, Sadhu, Shastra and Krishna. These are the twofold qualifications for a person who can become a proper representative of Srila Prabhupada. Coming back to the verse, let me offer my respectful obeisances to the great sage Shukdev Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. We already discussed why. Because he had so many realizations. He was not just a Bhagavatam scholar, where he can say so many verses, but realizations is not there. Practice is not there. Srila Prabhupada would say that practice of philosophy is higher than the philosophy. We can speak very great philosophy, but are we able to practice? If not, then we are parrots. Have you seen a parrot? It will be saying so many things. Somebody can train the parrot to say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. But if you take the parrot and twist its neck like this, what it will say? It will not say Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It will say something stupid. Probably it will curse you, or it will give some slang to you, or just scream. Because the parrot has no realizations. So Srila Prabhupada says that realization is more important than parrot-like chanting. This parrot-like chanting is very common, especially in South India. People have this tongue for reciting the verses. But very rarely I have seen someone who actually meditates on the meaning of verses and tries to apply it in their life. So we have to learn to do that. Later on, he says, Sutta Goswami is saying, when he went away to take up the renounced order of life, sannyasa, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by the higher castes, his father Vyasadeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, "O my son!" Indeed, only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the begrieved father. So many things to discuss here. So the higher castes, especially the Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishyas, they begot children by doing something called as Garbhadan Samskar. Garbhadan Samskar means at least one practices celibacy for 2 years before uniting with their wife, and only with their wife and not with neighbor's wife. Very clear. You have to unite only with your wife and practice some austerities, go for some tapasya, purify your consciousness basically. Still in India, it is seen that after marriage ceremonies, for quite a long time, people keep visiting the houses of various relatives. And in each relative's house, there will be some katha, kirtan. Wherever they go, they will maybe visit nearby temples. And, sometimes shaligrams are exchanged, or deities are exchanged, or some laddu gopals are exchanged, or some nice feasting and discussion and visiting various holy places, taking blessings from various sages. I don't know, does this happen? Earlier at least it used to happen. So for 6 months they will be doing, the bride and the groom will be doing this only. So indirectly speaking, this is the Garbhadan Samskar which is happening already. For 1 year they keep roaming around, and then the consciousness is getting purified. They are going to dhams, they are meeting saintly people, they are meeting relatives, and there they are discussing holy name and Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Earlier this used to happen. I don't know, these days maybe they just, after getting married, they just switch on Netflix or go to some nearby theater or order something from Zomato. I don't know what's going on. But earlier at least this used to happen. I remember my father telling me that when he got married, he was frustrated. Like for first 7 months, constant invitations, constant visiting places, constantly moving around. And he was like, I had enough of it now. He was fed up. But as I read Bhagavatam and as I remember what he was saying, I can link that was the culture of India at that point of time. So the Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishyas, Brahmanas and Kshatriyas compulsorily, Vaishyas optional, and Shudras they did not perform Garbhadan Samskar. So therefore Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, they would very nicely do the Garbhadan Samskar. So therefore it was seen that the son of a great Brahmana would always be a great Brahmana. The son of a great king would become another great king. Because the consciousness, the purified consciousness which they had before uniting with each other, that attracted the a purified soul of a similar consciousness in the womb of the mother. This is a very, very scientific way to beget children. Just like the consciousness which you have at the time of death decides your next life, similarly, the consciousness which one has while uniting decides the consciousness of the upcoming child. I have been instructed by my spiritual master to speak very nicely upon this Garbhan Samskar because it's very important. We want a society of pure devotees. So, society of pure devotees, they don't come by fluke. It comes by planning. It has to be intelligently organized and planned. We need many, many Vaikuntha children. In fact, my request to all the devotees is that if you get married, at least have 10 children. Because the society needs a lot of help. Don't worry how it will work, or don't worry how it will be how they will be sustained. Don't worry about that. Just follow the Garbhan Samskar and lead a simple lifestyle, not the artificial lifestyle. Then everything is possible. Because we need many, many Vaikuntha children. I get little, what can I say, like upset when I see devotee couples having just one child. You are a devotee, at least 10 children you should produce. We need so many brahmacharis, sannyasis and stable grihasthas in future. Where will they come from? See, people like us, we have been picked up from the streets. I don't know where we have been picked up from. Never in our life our consciousness will be like that of a person who has been begotten by Garbhan Samskar. Their consciousness is transcendental. Like Shukdev Goswami, you see, the moment he took birth, he just walked out of his house. Now, to walk away from your house takes a lot of guts, takes a lot of liver. You need, in Kannada they say, you need a lot of meter beku, to do that. It's not easy. When you are walking out of your house, you'll remember the face of your mother making rotis. Your father, how he took you to a tuition when you were a small child. Your grandfather, how he placed you on his shoulders and took you for purchasing a toy. This Indian family system is very, very strong, especially in South India. Everybody has at least 4 WhatsApp groups. My dear gold family, my dear silver family, blah, blah, blah family, this family, that family. So, in order to give up, it requires really only those who are purified by their heart and who have attained transcendental knowledge, they can successfully and stably do this. Otherwise, it is very common to go and come back. It's common. But to maintain this requires a lot of spiritual maturity, and Shukdev Goswami had that. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying, the institution of Varna and Ashrama prescribes many regulative duties to be observed by its followers. Such duties enjoin that a candidate must be willing to study the Vedas and must approach a bona fide spiritual master and request acceptance as his disciple. The sacred thread is a sign of those who are competent to study the Vedas from the Acharya or the bona fide spiritual master. Sri Shukdev Goswami did not undergo such purificatory ceremonies because he was a liberated soul since his very birth. So what is this sacred thread? The thread which we wear. It means that somebody has a spiritual master. It means that they are ready to follow the spiritual master in all circumstances. Whenever you see a thread on the body of a bona fide person, you should immediately understand, okay, this person has a spiritual master and he is surrendered to him. It should not be a 2 paisa thread. It should be an actual spiritual thread. And it should be used in the service of Guru also. In one lecture, Srila Prabhupada showed how everything should be used in Guru's service. So there was one disciple who was initiated and who was wearing a thread, and the mic was not working properly. It was, Srila Prabhupada said, take out your thread and tie the mic with it. If some orthodox Indian coming from a high class Brahmana society will hear this, they'll go crazy. And thread is meant for chanting Brahma Gayatri, Surya Gayatri, Kama Gayatri, and all those high funda things, and I'll tie a mic with it. But they miss the main point. The point is that thread is meant to serve the spiritual master, to surrender to the spiritual master. So, generally, 18.42, Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, shloka number 42. The qualities of a Brahmana are enlisted. When the disciple becomes stable in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and starts showing the qualities of a Brahmana, then they are offered the Brahmanical thread. If a normal person, now it's very serious to become a Brahmana, it's not a joke. Chatur Varna Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. We become Brahmanas by Guna and Karma, not by Janma and Janma. Guna Karma. Now, I always give this example in my Gita course discussions. Suppose this child, my mobile is not here, it's kept somewhere. Suppose my mobile or my wallet is kept here, and this child comes and runs away with it. What we will do? We will run behind the child, take the wallet, feel very happy, take out 500 rupees and give to the child also. Kiss the child also. Please come and daily take my wallet. Okay. But let's say the father, if he does this, he gets up, he looks at me, and then he takes my wallet and runs away. Then what I'll do? Avalarli police station. And probably I'll take some money from him also. You harassed me. Sponsor my lunch. Why this difference in behavior? Because the degree of intelligence of the child and the father is different. Higher the intelligence, higher the punishment. So being a Brahmana is a very serious business. If a normal person commits suicide, he'll become a ghost. And you go to Vishnupad, you offer some tarpan that will reach by the process of yajnas and chanting of mantras, and that ghost will receive that Vishnu Prasad and be liberated from the ghostly species of life. Again will get another body and life will continue. But if a Brahmana commits suicide, he becomes Brahma Rakshas. How many of you have encountered a Brahma Rakshas? If a ghost comes, what you should do? You should start singing, Namaste Narasimhaya, and the ghost will run away. But if a Brahma Rakshas comes, if you sing Namaste Narasimhaya, he will sing Prahalada. The Brahma Rakshas will reply with because he's a Brahmana, he knows everything. And he will reply, that means nothing works on a Brahma Rakshas. Such a sinful category. If a small child starts passing stool and urine on the lap of the mother understands that she takes care. But if a 10-year-old child passes stool and urine, it's unacceptable, right? So similarly, Brahmana means a very serious business. So those who are stable in spiritual life, or whom the spiritual master sees that they are stable, they are offered this Brahmanical thread. So such people who are at the Brahmanical qualification, Bhagavad Gita 18.42, they are qualified to read the Vedas. That's what is said here. Now, Shukdev Goswami did not need this. You could forget about Brahmanical qualification. He was the son of Vyasadev. Who is Vyasadev? Vyasadev is God, literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I think in the Rudra Gita, that is the 4th canto of Bhagavatam, Lord Shiva is saying, who will understand? He's talking about some devotional sentiments of a devotee, and he's saying who will understand or who will not understand. So he mentions Narada understands, Vyasadev may understand, may not understand. Like that he was saying. So I was very much disturbed that why Vyasadev will not understand. Later on, my seniors explained to me that devotional sentiments of a devotee can be understood by a devotee only. God is God. So Vyasadev is in the category of God. That's why Lord Shiva said he may or may not understand. So he's the son, Shukdev Goswami is the son of God. And there is a history how Shukdev Goswami he took birth. Essentially, Shukdev Goswami was there in the material world as a parrot due to some divine arrangement. And Mother Parvati once asked Lord Shiva that why do you wear so many skulls on your body? So Lord Shiva replied that each of these skulls is yours in your various lifetimes? So Mother Parvati said, I have died so many times. And how come you did not die? So Lord Shiva said, I have become immortal because of the practice and memory, because of the practice and the meditation on Srimad Bhagavatam. Then Mother Parvati became very curious. She said, I also want to know Srimad Bhagavatam. Please tell me. And Lord Shiva gave only one condition, that whenever I will tell it, you should hear it with attention without sleeping. Now, this is a very difficult thing to do. Sitting in a Bhagavatam class and not sleeping is like surpassing Mother Parvati also. Okay, so guess what? That this parrot was hearing from the tree. Mother Parvati and Shiva were there, and Lord Shiva was in trance, and just like any other Bhagavatam speaker, he lost track of time, and he went on speaking, and Mother Parvati slept off. But so that the conversation continues, this parrot started imitating Mother Parvati, and she started saying, parrot started saying, oh yeah, very nice. Next, what is next? Yes, what's next? What's next? Like that. Go on. Sadhu, sadhu, like that. And Lord Shiva was thinking, my wife is hearing. And he was going on reciting. And ultimately when he woke up, he saw wife is sleeping. And then he said, then who heard this Bhagavatam? Then Lord Shiva understood this parrot has heard. Now this parrot, if he has heard, then the parrot becomes transcendental. God knows what is the destiny of the parrot. So he didn't know what to do. So he thought that let me kill the parrot. God knows if this is a demon or what, I don't know. So he threw his trishul towards the parrot, and the trishul was following the parrot, and the parrot was running away from the trishul. And ultimately, it went into the ashram of Vyasadeva and entered. The Bhagavatam says, not the Bhagavatam, the other scriptures say that it entered the mouth of the wife of Vyasadeva and resided in the womb for 16 years. Lord Shiva came to the ashram to kill that parrot also, but then Vyasadeva convinced him that don't worry, this is the divine arrangement of the Lord. He will, in future, he will speak the essence of all Vedic literature. So Lord Shiva, being reassured, goes back. And this son, Shukadeva, Shuka means parrot, resided in the womb of his mother for 16 years, not willing to come out. Because anybody in this world, anybody except Narayana, anybody except Krishna, who has come out of the womb of a mother, immediately is entrapped by Maya. Immediately. Nobody is exception. So he knew that at least in the womb of the mother, surrounded by so many horrible things and in a very difficult situation, at least I can think of the Lord and remember my spiritual constitutional position. But as soon as I'll come out, I'll start thinking, he is my father, he is my mother, this is what I have to do, this is how I have to play. So he was not willing to come out. And Vyasadeva was assuring him that you please come out, I will take care of you, I take charge of you. But he was not willing to come out. But somehow, after 16 years of pregnancy, he came out. And as soon as he came out, he became a very big person, a 16-year-old, young-bodied person. And all he did was, he just walked out. So because he was in that consciousness, Son of God, not Jesus Christ, but Shukadeva Goswami, and he had transcendental realization, his state of consciousness was such that he was not attracted to anything in this material world. That means he was attracted by the Brahman platform. He was so advanced that he would see everybody at the spiritual platform. He would not discriminate between a small ant and Brahma. He would not discriminate between a man or a woman. That was his consciousness. So somebody who is at that consciousness is already purified. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samah sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. One who has no hankering for that which he does not have. and one who has no lamentation for something which he or she has lost, and one who sees everybody at the spiritual platform attains pure devotional service. Shukdev Goswami was already at this platform. Now, Varnashram system, taking Brahmanical thread and then studying the Vedas, becoming a Vipra. First you become a Brahmana, and then when you become expert at the Vedic literature, you become a Vipra. When you become very expert at studying the Vipra, what is the next thing? Yes, then you become a, no, first you become a Brahmana, and then you become a Dvija. Dvija and Brahmana are often sometimes synonymously used. From Dvija you become a Vipra, and from Vipra you become a Vaishnava. So therefore the scriptures say that it is very, very important for having a Vaishnav Guru. Someone may say, I want a Brahmana Guru, I want a Vipra Guru, I want a Dvija Guru. Even if your Guru comes from the family, even if your Guru is from Korea. Korea means dog eaters. People in Korea, generally they eat dogs. This is my understanding. The Chandalas are dog eaters, the lowest in the human society. Even if a particular person is coming from a dog eater family, of course he should not be eating dogs. The point which I am trying to say is that his guna and karma were such that he took birth in such a degraded family. Birth is not random. If somebody takes birth in a particular circumstance, that's his karma which took him there. Unless and until it is a divine arrangement like Thakur Haridas, about whom we will read later on. So even if somebody is coming from a dog eater family, if they are a Vaishnav, that means if they know the signs of Krishna consciousness, one should accept them as Guru. But if somebody is coming from a very high class Brahmana, but is impersonalist, does not believe in the personal form of the Lord, such a high class Kuleen Brahmana should be rejected as a Guru. But a self-realized Vaishnava coming from a dog-eater family should be accepted and worshipped as Guru. This is the principle. So, because Shukdev Goswami was already at this Brahma Bhuta platform, so this Brahmanical thread of purification and going to Gurukul and learning and all that, it was not required for him. So that's what is explained in the second paragraph. Generally, a man born in as an ordinary being and by the purificatory processes, he is born for the second time. Initiation, first birth is when you take birth from the womb of your mother, and the second birth is when you take birth as the disciple of a spiritual master. When he sees new light and seeks direction for spiritual progresses, he approaches a spiritual master for instruction in the Vedas. So only those who want to seek direction, only those who are serious in spiritual life should approach a spiritual master. Spiritual master is not a fashion. These days people like to have a spiritual master. Everybody is becoming his grace. I should also become his grace. Later on I will become his disgrace. That should not be the case. Just because in order to do this seva in the temple, I need to be first initiated, so I am taking initiation. It should not be like that. Only those who are really serious and want to make a solution of their life, they should approach spiritual master. Otherwise, they will become burden on the spiritual master. They will become unqualified disciples. And a guru should not accept unqualified disciples. So therefore, Prabhupada is saying, a spiritual master accepts only the sincere inquirer as a disciple and gives him the sacred thread. In this way, a man becomes twice born, or Dvija. Brahmanas can be Dvija, Kshatriyas can be Dvija, Vaishyas can be Dvija. Generally the Shudras, because of their sense gratificatory nature, their mind is boggled all the time by sense gratification. They don't feel the need to approach a spiritual master. Because sense gratification is the goal of their life. That is Shudra. So Brahmana can be Dvija, Kshatriya can be Dvija, Vaishya can be Dvija, but who can be Dvija Shrestha? Only a Brahmana like Lord Chaitanya can be Dvija Shrestha. So after qualifying as a Dvija, one may study, okay, just on a lighter note, our teeth are also called as Dvija. Because there are two births, everybody gets two teeth, right? One is the milk teeth and one is the later teeth. So somewhere in Vedic literature I've read that the teeth are also called as Dvija. Yes, continuing. After qualifying as a Dvija, one may study the Vedas, and after becoming well versed in the Vedas, one becomes a Vipra. Vipra means one who is able to help the common people in understanding how to apply Vedas in their life. Simply mantra chanting Brahmanas are not given the title of Vipra. Vipra is a very advanced, only Acharyas who have this clairvoyance to understand how to present things in such a way so that people will be benefited, they can be called as Vipra, Vipravar. A Vipra or a qualified Brahmana thus realizes the absolute. That means those who are Vipra, they have understood, they have God realization already, and they make further spiritual progress until he reaches the Vaishnava stage. That means even after becoming God realized, you cannot be called as a Vaishnava. Who is a Vaishnava then? Question for everybody. Who is a Vaishnava? First Mataji's will answer. Who is a Vaishnava? Yes, Mataji. Devotee of the Lord is Vaishnava. Any other answer?
Somebody who has realized absolute truth and has taken it upon themselves to make sure other people also are going towards the path of that.
Okay, a preacher is a Vaishnava.
Somebody who takes other people's miseries as his own miseries.
Paradukha Dukhi, one who becomes sad by seeing the misery of others, is a Vaishnava. Very nice. Oh, not only Mataji, some Prabhujis also. You're also Vaishnavas, only Vaishnavas, Mataji. Yeah. Who is serving the devotees of the Lord is a Vaishnava. Very nice.
So who at least pronounced the Mahamantra.
Very good. This is Lord Chaitanya's definition. Lord Chaitanya was asked who is a Vaishnava. Lord Chaitanya told anybody who has at least once in their life chanted the holy name of the Lord is a Vaishnava. Lord Chaitanya is very liberal, you know. And if you are just sometimes when we walk in the dham, the auto drivers will call us, hey, Radhe Radhe, idhar aao. 50 rupees mein chale chalenge. So he has chanted the holy name of the Lord. So the auto driver is a Vaishnava. That is Lord Chaitanya's definition. Lord Chaitanya was asked 3 times in 3 consecutive years, who is a Vaishnava? So the first year, he answered that anybody who has chanted once the holy name of the Lord is a Vaishnava. So once one devotee met a Muslim and he asked him to chant Hare Krishna. The Muslim said, I will do anything but I will not chant Hare Krishna. I will do everything but मैं सब कुछ करूँगा, मैं सब कुछ बोलूँगा, but मैं हरे कृष्ण हरे राम नहीं बोलूँगा. मैंने आपसे कह दिया मैं हरे कृष्ण हरे राम नहीं बोलूँगा, आप अपने घर चले जाइए. So the devotee became very happy. So even if such a person who is outside the society of Vedic culture says the names of the Lord, he can be considered as a Vaishnava. Next year when Lord Chaitanya was asked the same question, Lord Chaitanya answered, anybody who is constantly chanting the holy names of the Lord is a Vaishnava. That means throughout the day, 24 hours they should be chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Third year when the same people, they used to make ropes for the Jagannath cart coming from a particular village. Till now the ropes of Jagannath cart come from that village only. Third year when they got the opportunity to meet Mahaprabhu and asked, who is a Vaishnava? Lord Chaitanya told, a person by seeing whom others start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a Vaishnava. So basically he talked about Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari and Uttam Adhikari platform. So these are the nice definitions of Vaishnavas. So, a qualified Brahmana thus realizes the absolute truth and makes further progress and becomes a Vipra. Qualified Brahmana thus realizes the absolute truth and makes further progress in spiritual life until he reaches the Vaishnava stage. One very nice definition of Vaishnava I heard in my teacher's training course, I think in 2018 or 19. One devotee said a Vaishnava is one who does not differentiate while serving Vishnu and the devotees of Vishnu. I really like that definition. He does not differentiate. He gives the same respect to the devotees as he gives to the Lord. In fact, he should give more to the devotees. So, the Vaishnava stage is the postgraduate status of a Brahmana. A progressive Brahmana must necessarily become a Vaishnava, for a Vaishnava is a self-realized, learned Brahmana. So can somebody be a Vaishnava but not a Brahmana? Is it possible? Like the 9 qualities of a Brahmana, Samodama, Titikshaiva, Shantim, Arjavamevacha, Jnana, Vijnanam, Astikyam, Brahma, Karma, Svabhavacha. All these 9 qualities of a Brahmana are not there, but he is a Vaishnava. Is it possible? How about Pingala, the prostitute in Srimad Bhagavatam 12th canto? She didn't have these Brahmanical qualities, but is she a Vaishnava? No. अरे उसका नाम भागवतम में आ गया, अब नहीं वैष्णव में तो कब है? So the understanding is we should not see the present qualification of a Vaishnava. अपि चेतसु दुराचारो भजते माम अनन्य भाग साधुभीर साधुरेव समंतव्य सम्यक व्यवसितो हि सः. Lord Krishna has ordered that even if some gross disqualification is seen in my devotee, api chetsu duracharo, but if that devotee is bhajate mam ananya bhag, if he has taken to devotional service, understanding that there is no other way in my life, or there is no other central pursuit of my life, ananya bhag, sadhureva samantavya. Even if that person has some gross disqualifications, but if he has taken up undeviated devotional service unto my lotus feet, he should be considered as a sadhu. Why? Samyak vyavasito hi sir. Because he is established in a good situation, and in the purport Srila Prabhupada writes, Lord Krishna has taken charge of such a person. So when you throw a ball, we must have all studied this trajectory and H.C. Varma and all physics in our childhood. So when you throw a ball, you see the trajectory. At one point of time, the trajectory is moving up. And at one point of time, the trajectory is moving down. Projectile motion. Do you remember? So suppose 2 balls are crossing each other. One ball is coming down like this, and one ball is going up like this. The ball which is coming down may be a great demon like Ravana, and the ball which is going up may be a improvising Vaishnava like Pingala. And at a particular point of time, when the graph meets, at that particular point of time, we may find the same qualifications in Ravana as well as Pingala. Ravana was also lusty, this Pingala prostitute was also lusty. But what will happen in the future? This prostitute, her trajectory is upwards. She will progressively give up lust, anger, greed, illusion, enviousness and attachments and attain the lotus feet of Krishna. But what will happen to Ravana? He is on a degradation mode. In course of time, he will lose everything. So we should see what is the progressive motion of a particular person at a particular point of time. And because we are unqualified to understand what is going on in anybody's spiritual life, so therefore we should not judge also. We don't know what's going on. Therefore Lord Krishna has ordered, api chetasu duracharo. Even if you find a sadhu who is durachari, sadhu reva samantavya, he must be considered as a saint. If you do not consider him as a saint, but if you start criticizing him or her, see, spiritual master will criticize. It is the job of the spiritual master. Thankless job. Who will thank their spiritual master? Thank you for chastising me like this. Thank you for beating me up like this. Thank you for forcing me. Nobody thanks the spiritual master for all the scoldings and the beatings which they get. So it's a thankless task. They only thank the spiritual master when the spiritual master congratulates them, or when the spiritual master writes a loving letter back to them, or when the spiritual master accepts their seva, glorifies them. My spiritual master has accepted me. When the spiritual master beats you up, ऐसे ही बोलते रहते हैं, एक कान से सुनो एक कान से निकालो. I saw one clipping somewhere, some WhatsApp group, it was circulating. Nava Yogendra Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Nava Yogendra Swami Maharaj, asked Srila Prabhupada. Because when Srila Prabhupada would get angry, it would be really tough. His voice would raise up, and a person with that much gravity, when he scolds, everybody would feel that the entire room is shaking. A person with so much gravity, when they become angry, everybody around will start shivering. So it was a very tough experience. It's very easy to say, oh, I wish I could be Srila Prabhupada's disciple. But let me tell you, most of us, after getting one scolding from Prabhupada, would have left spiritual life. Because Srila Prabhupada was a very exalted personality. If he would love, we would feel the love of Krishna. When he would scold, we would... personalities like Srila Prabhupada, when they are on Vyasasana, they will sound like Shukdev Goswami. But when they are scolding, they will sound like Yamaraj. It's very difficult to handle. So Nava Yogendra Swami Maharaj, he asked Srila Prabhupada that, Srila Prabhupada, when you scold us, what should we do? So Srila Prabhupada replied, you should feel happy. You should smile. So Nava Yogendra Swami Maharaj asked, why Prabhupada? So he said that when you get chastisements from the spiritual master, it means that spiritual master is concerned about you. He is meditating upon you. That means Radha and Krishna are doing some, giving you some personal treatment through the spiritual master, so you should feel happy. Now, it's a very easy thing to say, difficult to do. I only have not been able to do this till now. It's very difficult to control your mind when you get chastisements. It's very difficult. But those who are able to do this, one should immediately understand that they have perfected their life. Only those fools who can surrender to the lotus feet of their spiritual master and feel very happy when they are chastised, their destination is very glorious. Because such disciples can remain fools at the lotus feet of their spiritual master. And that's the qualification. So, how did this scolding point come? I lost the track. Anyways, I'll come back to the class. So Shukdev Goswami was a Vaishnava from the beginning, so there was no need for him to undergo the process of Varnashrama institution. Therefore, the title for today's discussion is Devotional Service is the Excellence of Varnashram Institution. The goal of Varnashram Dharma is to become a devotee of Lord Krishna. In fact, Varnashram system is so broad and so wide and so broad-minded that it can accommodate non-devotees also. In one conversation, Srila Prabhupada has made this prediction that very soon in Kali Yuga, a point will come where people will be fully frustrated with their jobs, and it will be a very dark period where people will run away. Bhagavatam says it will happen towards the end of Kali Yuga. Prabhupada said it will happen very soon also. And Prabhupada said that at that moment, people will join our farm communities in millions. So when millions of people are coming to stay in our farm communities, will everybody be a devotee? No. They have to just like when you join some company, they give you a set of 100 questions, you answer, then they understand your mentality and then they give you a profile. So similarly, they will try to understand the nature of a particular person and put them according to a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra kind of a role. And then they are a part of Varnashram. And what is the goal of this Varnashram? That a person who has joined this Varnashram should become a devotee of Lord Krishna very soon. So one who is a devotee, he has perfected the Varna. He need not go under the Varnashram system again. But sometimes even pure devotees like Shukdev, Ved Vyas, although they are perfected beings, they need not follow the Varnashram Dharma. But just to set a good example, they follow the Varnashram Dharma. Like Lord Krishna, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when in his house Sudama, a Brahmana comes, he follows the Varnashram Dharma. He doesn't say, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, come on Sudama, come on Narad Muni, massage my lotus feet. He doesn't say. In fact, he goes and massages their lotus feet and washes them, following Varnashram Dharma to set a good example. So Shukdev Goswami has already crossed this Varnashram institution. So therefore, he need not go through any of these processes. Best example is Thakur Haridas, whom I was talking about. He was the incarnation of Lord Brahma. In the Nectar of Devotion, one of the qualities of Lord Krishna is that he is very gambhira, very grave. A grave is that person, this is the actual definition of grave. Grave person is that person whom you cannot understand what is going on in their mind. Such a person is very grave. So Brahma, after doing the Brahma Vimohan Leela, after capturing the cows and the calves and others, monkeys also he captured. He was coming and praying to Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna was standing with the yogurt and 4 different kinds of pickles in between his fingers in his left hand. And with a cow herding stick and a buffalo horn. And he was holding the branch of a tree. And Brahma is sitting and offering prayers in front of him with all his 4 heads. And behind, one tiger and one deer are sitting together, according to the Krishna book photo. And behind, the friends of Krishna are telling, this Krishna is wasting our time. Who is this 4-headed person? Simply coming, and they have to come now only. We have been able to get, after a great amount of time, we are able to play this game. And Brahma is offering prayers, serious prayers. It's the summum bonum of all prayers. And at that point of time, Krishna is hearing these prayers, and constantly he is hearing from behind criticism. That Krishna, if you don't come back in the next 2 minutes, for the next 2 days we will not play with you. And Lord Krishna is perplexed. What to do? Should I go back to play, or should I sell something to Brahma? So, of course, Krishna always reciprocates, ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. The cowherd boys, they are such great personalities that even great personalities like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they have to take the dust of the lotus feet of the cowherd boys. So obviously Krishna went back to the cowherd boys, and Brahma ko samajh mein nahi aaya kya hua. It's like you gave a job interview and you never got an email back. Acknowledgement ही नहीं है, हुआ क्या हुआ नहीं हुआ, selection हुआ नहीं हुआ. Generally when no email comes, we presume selection नहीं हुआ. So Lord Krishna didn't say anything, yes, no, na, ha, hu, nothing. He just looked at him and then he went to play. So Lord Brahma was confused, कि अब क्या करें? He could not understand whether Lord Krishna has forgiven him or not. So therefore he went to Mayapur, Navadip Dham, and then he did a lot of chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra and chanting the names of Gauranga. And then Lord Gauranga, Lord Chaitanya appeared, and then he told that, see, I am a Brahma and I am in the 50th year now, first day, 28th yoga cycle has passed. Every day, so many incarnations I am seeing. But still this tendency of committing offenses has not gone away. I wish that you give me your mercy in such a way so that I may not commit any offense hereafter. And Lord Chaitanya understood the desire of Lord Brahma, and then he told him that you will take birth as a Muslim in Kali Yuga when I will appear as Lord Chaitanya. You will take birth as a Muslim so that you get rid of this pride of being a Brahma. And then you will have to practice devotional service in odd, difficult circumstances in a climate of criticism and misunderstanding. Everybody will misunderstand you, everybody will criticize you. And in that climate, you have to practice Krishna consciousness. You will be a Mohammedan. People in the Vedic society will not associate with you also. And you will be chanting 3 lakh holy names. That means 192 rounds every day. Once you lead a life like this, associating with me and my devotees, then for the rest of your tenure as a Brahma, you will not make any offenses. So this Brahma took birth as Haridas Thakur in Chaitanya Leela, and every day he was chanting 192 rounds. And although he was a Mohammedan, now we are talking about a time where if a Muslim would take some water in his mouth and splash it on someone, that person was supposed to have lost his caste as a Hindu or as a Brahmana. Outcast. He would have to become outcast. He would have to leave the place and go. There's a conversation where one of the great devotees of Lord Chaitanya, a Muslim comes and splashes water on him. And then he goes to Lord Chaitanya asking, what should I do? I have been ostracized from the Hindu society. Lord Chaitanya told him, just go to Vrindavan and chant Hare Krishna in the association of Rupa Goswami. So Prabhupada writes in that purport that the Hindu society was a rascal society at that point of time. Even 500 years ago, Hindu society was a rascal society. So much Rudhivad and so much unnecessary rules and regulations. Irrespective of what is the service, seva bhav of a person, if somebody sprinkles water from their mouth on that person, he should be ostracized. So, Prabhupada criticizes the Hindu society, saying that because of this rascaldom, the Hindu society got ruled by Britishers and Mughals for so many years. So, in such an environment where greatest of personalities like Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, coming from the greatest of Brahmanical backgrounds, actually Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami were actually from Karnataka. Did you know this? They are high class Brahmanas coming from Karnataka. Their ancestors were from Karnataka, and they actually moved after some generations to Bengal, and they became the ministers. Earlier, Bengal was supposed to be the head of the whole country. Whatever happens in Bengal would be copied throughout the whole country, because Lord Chaitanya was also there and all the great personalities were there. Because this Rup and Sanatan, they started serving Nawab Hussain Shah, who was a Muslim ruler. They were ostracized from the Brahmana community. If a Brahmana serves a meat eater and takes salary for his service, then he cannot be considered as a Brahmana. The first qualification of being a Brahmana, that he should not take salary for anything which he does. And second qualification of a Brahmana is that he should not serve meat eaters. So they were ostracized in such an environment. In such an environment, see the broad-minded nature and the non-caste nature of the movement of Lord Chaitanya. He made a Mohammedan, Haridas Thakur, as Namacharya. That means he told all the Vaishnavas of the world that please take shelter of a Mohammedan who has been put on the position of Namacharya. For all your japa talks and japa retreats and all those things, you please go to Haridas Thakur. This is the non-sectarian nature of Lord Chaitanya's movement. So this proves Kiva Vipra Kiva Nashi Shudra Kere Noy Jai Krishna Tattva Veta Say Guru. Don't see who is a Vipra, who is a sannyasi, who is a Shudra. Anybody who knows the science of Krishna, even if he is coming from a Mohammedan family or a Chandala family, say Guru. One can accept them as Guru. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives some examples of some high-class, fallen, degraded people. Kirat, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulaksha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, Khasa, or even lower. Andhra, some category of people are here also. So, in the first canto of Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada gives explanation who is a Kirata, who is a Huna, who is a Andhra, who is a Pulinda, who is a Pulaksha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana. When we read that description, we will realize where we come from. We all fall in that category, any one of them. So this Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulaksha, this covers almost the entire world. This covers the Turks, Greeks, the uncivilized Westerners, and everybody comes in this category. So a low-born person, whoever he may be, Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulaksha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, Khasa, they can be delivered to the highest transcendental position by the mercy of Vaishnavas. This is the transforming potency of a mercy of Vaishnava. If someone has got mercy of a devotee, a Vaishnava, irrespective of what they have done in the past, irrespective of what kind of a family background they come from, irrespective of what their prarabdha is. Prarabdha means I have taken birth where beef was stuffed in my mouth the moment I took birth. So my prarabdha is going in that direction. But irrespective of what my prarabdha is and wherever I am born, the moment I surrender to a Vaishnava and the moment I get mercy from a Vaishnava, my prarabdha, my adhikar, my bhagya, destiny changes. So how to change Kirat, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulaksha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, Khasa? These are very horrible people. They do not, forget about the Vedic system, they do not come under any form of religion. So how to help them? One has to practice Krishna consciousness very nicely and become merciful on these kind of people. One has to go in the association of such people at all risks, at the risks of being attacked and beaten down. One should chant Hare Krishna so that they hear. One should go in the association of such people and distribute prasadam. One should make gobi pakoda and take with them and distribute in such association. And one should distribute the books as much as possible. One should invite them to the temple. Make them sing and dance in front of the deities. Then their heart will change. So everything starts with mercy. Now, Suta Goswami is thinking about this merciful nature of Shukdev Goswami. He was a perfected being. He read Bhagavatam under the guidance of his spiritual master and father and God, Vyasdev, and he attained the perfection in life. Srimad Bhagavatam describes a very grand entry of Shukdev Goswami. Shukdev Goswami, a 16-year-old boy, man, very attractive to the minds of the young women, very beautiful, walking in the streets. The Bhagavatam describes that children are following him, young women are following him, married women are following him, the older men of the villages are following him, the children are throwing stones at him, making fun of him, spitting at him, but he's undisturbed. Slowly, he was wandering in the precincts of the forest where Parikshit Maharaj was ruling. All this time, Parikshit Maharaj being cursed, he's fighting Kali, he's arresting Kali. Shukdev Goswami is least bothered. He's being cursed, Shukdev Goswami is least bothered. But just at the right time, Shukdev Goswami comes out of the forest, followed by these unintelligent children, women and villagers. He is walking. And then he comes to the assembly of the sages. And all these sages, as soon as they see him, they get him to welcome him. And all these children and women are thinking, he looks like he's some great person. We are throwing stone at him. And Shukdev Goswami just comes. He sees Narad Muni and Ved Vyas in that gathering. So he offers obeisances to Narad Muni and Ved Vyas being his spiritual master and Narad Muni being his Param Guru. Like we have Guru and Prabhupada is my Param Guru. So similarly, he saw his Guru and his Param Guru. He offered his obeisances. And without invitation, he just went up on the stage and sat on the Vyasasana like this. So imagine the qualification. Generally a Vaishnava, try to understand the mood of Shukdev Goswami. Generally a Vaishnava is very humble. Until asked, they will not do anything. But when sense of responsibility and sense of urgency of delivering Krishna consciousness takes priority, then a Vaishnava behaves in such a way that the normal world will not see it as humility, but that is the utmost humility. So therefore Srila Prabhupada said, speaking strongly in the service of Krishna is humility. When you hold the collar of a Mayavadi and shake him up like that and slap him, that is humility actually. But slap him at your own risk. If you get slapped back, you should be able to defend yourself. So Shukdev Goswami was so humble, that when the Supreme Lord inspired him from the core of his heart that you have to deliver Bhagavatam now, he didn't care what the 60,000 sages will think. He didn't care what the world will think of. He didn't care what these unintelligent women and children will do. He just went on the Vyasasana and sat and started speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is the glory of the personality of Shukdev Goswami. That is his utter humility. Srila Prabhupada accepting Guru Puja and his feet being washed in front of so many people, being videographed, and later on that water being drunk and sprinkled over everybody. This is humility of Srila Prabhupada. So in that consciousness, Shukdev Goswami went and sat on the Vyasasana, and Suta Goswami is remembering that supreme spiritual master Shukdev Goswami, and he's offering his respectful obeisances unto him before he begins answering the questions of the sages at Naimisharanya. So with that, we would like to end today's discussion. We'll take 5 minutes to discuss if there are any questions, comments, reflections. Any questions? Asking questions is a sign that you have attentively heard. Yes, please.
Dvija and Dvija Bandhu are different words are same.
Sorry?
Dvija and Dvija Bandhu.
Dvija and Dvija Bandhu, they are completely different. Dvija means one who has received initiation, one who has accepted a spiritual master from their heart, one who is following the instructions of the spiritual master, one who is not just, or one who is cultured in their lifestyle. That is Dvija. They are not just those kind of cats and dogs who have been given birth. They are cultured Brahmanas. They are called as Dvija. Dvija Bandhu means those people who have taken birth. Dvija Bandhu strictly means friends of Brahmana. They may have taken birth in the family of a Brahmana, or they may have received the Brahmanical initiation, but now they are not able to follow the Brahmanical standard, or else or maybe they are in the family of a Brahmana, but they do not have the qualifications of a Brahmana, so they will be called as Dvija Bandhu. Friends of Brahmanas. They are not Brahmanas, they are friends of Brahmanas. So Dvija Bandhu means those who are not Brahmanas, but they know Brahmanas, they know Brahmanical culture, but they are not able to follow it. Yes.
This question was triggered with when you said Goswami did not differentiate between a man and a person. My question is related to a lot of time we have discussions about Mayavadis or Muslims, and I hear people speaking very ill of them. When we know that the Jivatma we say the Jivatma is separate from the body. So we should be putting down the philosophy and not the person, right? And can you explain that?
Yes. See, Mayavadi is a generic term which encompasses all those people who have offended Krishna, because of which they don't like to chant the names of Krishna, because of which sometimes they say that the lips of Krishna are like the hip of a monkey. You must have seen many monkeys in Vrindavan, so you must have noticed. The Mayavadis, they speak like this. Mayavadi, Krishna Aparadhi. Those who have offended Krishna, they generally have this opinion that Krishna is not a person, he is just some impersonal effulgence. So we are not putting down the person here. If I have a Mayavadi, let's say his name is Mr. Nair, I hope nobody is Mr. Nair here. If some Mr. Nair is here who is a Mayavadi, and when I say Mayavadi, I am talking about the Mayavadi philosopher or the Mayavadi philosophy. But when I meet Mr. Nair, I will not put him down. I will give him some gulab jam. From him, I will not sit and eat with him. Why? Mayavadi bhasha sunile hoile sarvanash. Anybody who hears from a Mayavadi, even if it is a Bhagavatam class, if a Mayavadi sits and gives a Bhagavatam class here, all of you will stop chanting Hare Krishna. Same verse. They will recite very nicely, they will sing very nicely, they will explain very nicely. Nice jugglery of words they will do. But ultimately they are thinking, I am God, or probably I am better than God also. So when you hear from them, all your spiritual fortune is lost. So therefore, when we talk very strongly against Mayavadis, one devotee said that there is more Mayavad in Srila Prabhupada's books than what the Mayavadis know themselves. Why we are doing this? Because we are trying to criticize that philosophy of Mayavad. And we are speaking so much about it amongst our own selves, so that we become aware of what is Mayavad. Because Mayavad sometimes comes in very subtle ways also. And it is very alluring. Anybody who does little bit of austerity, practices little bit of sense control, they become very attractive. And then they can present the Mayavad philosophy in a very subtle way, and people will leave ISKCON and follow them. So just to save people, the less intelligent, unfortunate, spiritually dull people, we give them warnings from the beginning by speaking what is Mayavad and not falling prey to it. However, when we meet a Mayavadi, we do not hate a Mayavadi, we hate his philosophy, but as a person we give him gulab jamuns. Does this answer your question? Yeah, we do not hate the person, we hate his philosophy. And in our personal dealings with him, We will be very careful not to hear from him, but we will give him a lot of gulab jamuns, we'll invite him to the classes. If he acts very smart and says, I also want to give a lecture, we'll just say, no, somebody else has been scheduled to give a lecture, and things like that. So we'll avoid listening from him, but we will give him a lot of prasad, we'll give him Prabhupada's books. Sometimes we'll engage in argument with him to make him understand that how the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. Srila Prabhupada even went to the extent of stopping a Mayavadi from going to toilet when he was having pressure to make him understand that God is a person. You know that incident? So see, we have to be very careful. Okay, any other questions? Yes, please. Shukdev Goswami.
When he leaves and goes out, there's a mention in the sloka that
Ved Vyas is saying, oh my son. Attachment. Yes. Yes, I was expecting this question to come. See, one attachment is attachment at the material platform. Do you have children? Do you have a son? You're attached to your son? Natural it is. Mother Yashoda is also attached to her son. But my attachment to my son, what will be the result of my attachment? It will cause me to continue in the samsara. It will force me to take birth again. The attachment to my son will be the source of my misery. But Mother Yashoda is attached to her son also. Same. You have a son, she has a son. You are attached to your son, she is attached to her son. But her son is a different person. And she is attached to her son. Because of that attachment, what will happen to her? She will become the acharya of everybody else in the whole world. It's different. Shukdev Goswami, in fact, if you want to know more, is a parrot of Srimati Radharani in the spiritual world. When we get attached to Guru and Krishna, that attachment is liberation. When we get attached to devotees of Krishna also, that attachment is also liberation. And Shukdev Goswami is the topmost, in the Bhagavatam there are 12 Mahabhagavats mentioned. Shukdev Goswami is one of them. So attachment to such a person is liberation actually. It cannot be compared to the attachment of a father to a son. When attachment to the bodily relationships come, it is often seen that the mode of ignorance and the mode of passion takes over. But what was the result of the attachment of Vedavyas to his son Shukdev Goswami? The result was, Shukdev Goswami went away. His father sent some of his disciples to recite the shlokas of Bhagavatam in front of Shukdev Goswami. Shukdev Goswami heard it, came back to the ashram of Vedavyas, learned Srimad Bhagavatam from him and then left. So what was the result of this attachment? Shukdev Goswami became a transcendental personality, fit enough to render Bhagavatam in such a nice way that the author of Bhagavatam and the inspirer of Bhagavatam, Vedvyas and Narad Muni, are sitting and hearing. And that is the result of this attachment. So this attachment is a transcendental attachment. Srila Prabhupada, one of the disciples asked Srila Prabhupada this question, that Srila Prabhupada, if at the time of death I don't think of Krishna, but because of my attachment to you, if I think of you, is it okay? Here the question is, I am not getting attached to Krishna, but I am getting attached to Guru. Is it fine? Srila Prabhupada closed his eyes, thought for some time, and then opened his eyes and said, yes, it will have the same effect. Whether you get attached to Krishna or whether you get attached to a devotee of Krishna, it has the same effect. Because where is the devotee heading towards? Krishna. And if you get attached to that devotee, where will you go? Krishna. This consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. Okay? Thank you very much. We'll close our discussion for today. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Can I have the Vaishnav calendar for making some announcements? So some announcements are as follows. So today is a very auspicious day because every day is auspicious, so it's auspicious. However, yesterday was very auspicious. Yesterday was the appearance of Mother Sita Devi's appearance, and many other personalities also appeared. Two personalities of Chaitanya Leela, Madhu Pandit and Janava Devi, also disappeared and appeared consecutively yesterday. Tomorrow, that is 1st of April, is Mohini Ekadashi. 1st of May, is Mohini Ekadashi, a very, very auspicious day. Madhava Tithi, Hari Bhakti Janani. So on the days of Ekadashi, whatever japa, tapa and vrata which we do, it helps in giving rise to the Bhakti Lata in the core of our heart. By hearing the lectures of Prabhupada and by associating with devotees, reading his books, chanting Hare Krishna and eating prasad, we have all got that Bhakti Lata beej. The seed of devotional service we have got. By the water of Shravanam and Kirtanam, that seed is watered. In the fence of the association of devotees, that creeper is protected. By avoiding Vaishnava Aparadh, the madness of offenses is avoided. The creeper is further protected from being uprooted. However, if we want this creeper to grow very nicely, anybody who wants to get the mercy of Lord Krishna, and anybody who thinks that they might have knowingly or unknowingly done some sinful activities in their life, and anybody who is serious about becoming stable in bhakti should observe Ekadashi. On the day of Ekadashi, Pap Purusha or sin personified has been ordered to reside in grains. So therefore, knowingly or unknowingly, anybody who eats grains on the day of Ekadashi makes his body a reservoir of sin personified, sinful disposition and sinful propensities and sinful reactions. So on Ekadashi, we should, ideally on Ekadashi, if one can fast fully, that is best. Give your body an overhauling experience by completely fasting. First standard is nirjal, don't drink anything. However, if you cannot do, then the second stage is take some water, take some fruits, take some milk. Third stage is you can cook some items which don't come in the category of grains, but do not eat grains at all. So the timing for starting this Ekadashi Vrata and ending this Ekadashi Vrata will be published. On Ekadashi, what we should do, we should reduce our travel, we should reduce our bodily engagements and try to spend more time to sit and chant and read and hear, become more absorbed. Srila Prabhupada once said that even preachers should unwind on Ekadashi and try to become deeper in their sadhana. So tomorrow is Mohini Ekadashi, a very, very nice Ekadashi. We want all of you to observe it if you are serious in bhakti. 2nd of April is Rukmini Dwadashi, the day where Mother Rukmini has appeared. So there is a very nice chapter, conversation, talks between Rukmini and Krishna, or Krishna kidnaps Rukmini. All these chapters of Krishna book one can read on this Rukmini Dwadashi and understand how serious was Rukmini in her devotion to Krishna. One of the best characteristics of Mother Rukmini is that even when she is with Krishna, she is thinking of those moments when she will be separated again from Krishna. This is a very high level of consciousness. Generally, people try to enjoy Krishna. But Rukmini is so afraid, so possessive about Krishna, that even when Krishna is with her, she is sad that what will happen to me and Krishna will leave me. So that is the glory of Rukmini. Sorry, this phone is getting locked again. So second, please meditate on the personality of Mother Rukmini on the 2nd, that is Wednesday. Third, 2nd, that is Tuesday. Third is Wednesday, the disappearance of Jayananda Prabhu. A great disciple of Srila Prabhupada. On any Rath Yatra, you will see his photo. Srila Prabhupada had many disciples, but only for Jayananda Prabhu, he said that his appearance and disappearance should be celebrated like any other saintly person in our Guru Parampara. Prabhupada did not say like this about any other disciple except this one single disciple, Jayananda Prabhu. Very close to the hearts of the devotees, Jayananda Prabhu. Very good example of how to be. In fact, Srila Prabhupada's movement was attracted, many young people were attracted, many hippies were attracted. He was probably one of the sane persons who came to Prabhupada's movement. Like he was already 30 plus, others were like 17, 18, 19, 20. He was 30 plus. He was an engineer by profession and coming from a very high class university, distinction as a student. So, very great personality. There is a book also written, various disciples or various devotees have relished the qualities of Jayananda Prabhu. The influence of Jayananda Prabhu, I call him Jayananda Thakur, was so great that when the devotees would go out to distribute prasadam and books, all the drunkards and the hippies would come and ask the devotees, where is Jayananda? And then they would say, he is doing such and such thing and like this, like that. You should take this book. Jayananda also is distributing this book. He likes this book. Okay, if Jayananda is telling, then I will take this book. That was the influence which he had on anybody. So Srila Prabhupada told that his photo should be put on every Rath Yatra cart, and his appearance and disappearance should be celebrated like any other acharya. So please observe, at least in your heart you observe nicely. And fourth is a very, very important day. It is Narsimha Chaturdashi, appearance of Lord Narsimha Dev. This is the day when we fast till dusk, dawn to dusk fasting. That means from sunrise to sunset we have to fast, and after that we have to accept some nice prasadam. I am still yet to get some further clarity whether the Narsimha Chaturdashi celebrations will happen in ISKCON Kanamangala or whether we will be directed to go towards our home temple, that is Narsimha Girdhari Mandir. There is a very beautiful deity of Narsimha Dev which is non-different from Narsimha Dev in our temple. So it makes sense to go and take shelter of that deity on Narsimha Chaturdashi. So I've asked my seniors, if they allow, we will have the celebration here. If they don't allow, then although it's a working day, but we'll see what we can do. We can go to the temple. And 5th of May, that is Friday, is again a very great day. Appearance and disappearance of various acharyas. Appearance of Madhavendra Puri, appearance of Srinivasa Acharya, the heartthrob or the darling of Vrindavan, the most beautiful deity, self-manifested deity of Vrindavan, Radharaman. So Radharaman's appearance is there on Friday. So basically this whole week is full of celebrations. So take maximum opportunity of that. We'll again meet definitely on 7th of May. We'll invite a guest speaker to come and give a class here. So please take full association of that. And 14th of May is the inauguration of our new center for which we were trying to purchase a land. It's not a full-fledged center, but in order to take land and in order to give payment and registration, the general norm in the real estate society is that if somebody has taken a land, they should occupy that land by building some kind of a structure there. So we have come up with a temporary structure which is good enough, maybe as big as this hall, just this hall, and some toilets and some kitchens. Every day in the evening, classes will happen there, Kannada, English, Hindi, etc., etc. And prasadam distribution will happen there. There is a good chance that a Srila Prabhupada disciple may come to inaugurate that center, 14th of May, Sunday. That Prabhupada disciple is His Grace Shruta Kirti Prabhu, the personal secretary of Srila Prabhupada. We are trying to discuss with him, see if he can come down. And there is a very great chance that after that he may stay for a few more days and go in various centers and do Prabhupada Katha. The 7th May, so 4th May is Narsimha Chaturdashi, and 14th May is the inauguration of our new center. So please watch out for these next 2 weeks. Thank you very much. I would like to make an appeal that this center runs by the help and the support of all the devotees. We encourage all the devotees coming to this center to make some monthly contribution. Even if it is 1 rupee, it does not matter. We want everybody to do some contribution. please contribute intellectually and financially and in terms of your physical capacity. In every way possible, try to spiritualize your life and your earnings by doing some monthly contribution. Let there be the hand of all, because this monthly contribution helps in making the center self-sustained. We want to distribute a lot of books, we want to distribute a lot of prasadam, and we want to maximize our preaching. We want to do Rath Yatras, and for doing all this, some expenses are there. Now there is a mandate that every center should have a CCTV camera, so that is also an expense. So serving prasadam, regular programs. One thought which is coming to my mind is that every evening I want to start Bhagavad Gita classes. Even if one person comes, we can put up a chart there that Monday in English, Tuesday in Hindi, Wednesday in Telugu. Like that, classes should keep going on so that the footfall in this center should increase. It was Srila Prabhupada's desire that we should have this sandwich model, morning Bhagavatam class, evening Gita class. So I want to implement that slowly, steadily. So all this has some expenditure because everybody who comes to temple should get at least one dona of prasadam. So please help us so that anybody in the 5-mile radius of this center should not go hungry and should get prasadam from our center. So for that, please contribute. We want to start Food for Life. Every evening we want to go out in different spots in the villages around and distribute prasadam, playing the Hare Krishna audio, Mahamantra audio. So please contribute on a monthly basis. Especially Monday is a very good day to contribute. It's Ekadashi, transcendental charity, and help us to propagate Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much. We will now do this Aarti and we will go for prasadam. Requesting some devotees to help in prasadam serving. And today, due to emergency circumstances, as most of our devotees are in Vrindavan, we will also need some help in cleaning the hall as well as cleaning the vessels. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Any newcomers today? Inspired by Krishna to come to the center for the first time? Please stand up.